everyone, Michelle Dye here with Dynamic Career Goals, also known as Hire a Career Coach. And today I want to talk to you about the 3 ways to get unstuck at work. This is something that I hear so much from women. They feel stuck in their jobs and they're really not sure what to do next to move forward in their career, to achieve maybe the dreams that they have deep inside their heart, and they just have no idea how to get started. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, when I talk with all of these amazing women, they all have lots of feelings about this and lots of feelings about their career and their job, their workplace, their boss. And by far, one of the most things that I hear women talk to me about is just this feeling of being overworked. And it's not entirely surprising right now, especially with the pandemic that's really shifted a lot of ways companies are doing business. Staff has been reduced. People have had to take on more work. But this feeling of overwork has existed long before the pandemic. And I believe a lot of that is tied to just technology in general and being able to just be a text message away or a phone call away. And it's really easy to just have your work life take over your personal life. And so these feelings of being overworked can be mitigated, but you just have to know the right steps to take. Another thing that I hear from so many women is just this feeling of being underpaid. And it's also a fact, even in 2021, last year, the gender pay gap was still, women were earning 81 cents to a man's dollar. And then if you were a woman of color, that divide between the gender pay gaps got even bigger. And so this is a huge problem that you have to be really proactive with in overcoming this cycle of being underpaid. And much like the first one I mentioned to you about being overworked, there's also a huge increase in feeling burnt out. And a lot of this can be traced to the pandemic, especially. And what we're seeing in the data is that more women are experiencing these feelings of burnout and the negative impacts of burnout more so than men. And so there's definitely ways that we can combat these burnout feelings, but we also need our leaders and managers to do a better job here. One of the things that I teach my clients is we have to take control of our own careers, and we can't rely on leaders and managers to do that for us. So sometimes we have to be the driving force of change. And believe it or not, I do get quite a few women come to me telling me that they are bored at work and they really just don't know what to do about it. And when you start feeling bored at work, you kind of disengage from work and you can just not be as fulfilled. You can actually stunt your own career growth when you're in an environment that is boring to you. And so we want to make some changes when you start noticing that you're bored at work. And there's definitely some things that you can do to change this. That doesn't mean you have to quit your job. There's definitely other tools and strategies you can use to fight through boredom. And kind of on the same lines is I talk with a lot of women who feel unfulfilled at work. And a lot of times this happens when maybe they just don't fully resonate with the mission of the company that they work for. Perhaps it's something that they're just not passionate about, and maybe there are goals and missions and values that just don't line up to their own personal beliefs, and that can leave you feeling unfulfilled. You can also feel unfulfilled when you place your entire self-worth into your job title. And so there's definitely some strategies that you can use to overcome that. And the last common feeling that I hear from women is just this feeling of being undervalued at work. They're not appreciated fully in their job. Perhaps they get taken advantage of. Maybe they say yes all the time. Maybe just leadership and management really doesn't understand how this person contributes to the overall goals and mission of the company, and even contributing to the bottom line. And so this is another thing that I talk to my clients about, is I always tell them, look, you need to understand where you fit into the overall big picture at companies, and then you need to shout it from the rooftops so that people understand all the value that you bring to the table. Now, when you have all of these feelings in place and different things that you have to work through, another thing that when people are feeling really stuck at work is that they feel like their career is like a ladder. And you hear this phrase all the time, climbing the corporate ladder, and how it seems to be just a really clear path to the top. But this analogy is actually not the right picture of how to get ahead at work. And I believe this is why so many women start feeling stuck in their job, is because they don't see this one path of how to get ahead in their career, how to get promoted, how to achieve some of the goals that they've set for themselves. And so what I like to tell people is that really your career path is a lot like rock climbing. So stay here with me for a minute, because you might be a little confused by this. But really, your career isn't one way to the top. There's not one certain path you have to take to reach your goals. There's not one path to promotion usually at a lot of companies. A lot of companies don't have that very clear. So sometimes to advance your career, you need to go sideways. So what does going sideways mean? Well, sometimes it is a lateral move at another company, but that other company has more room for you to grow. There's more opportunities for promotion, professional development, higher salaries, up-leveling your skills. And so sometimes you have to take a step sideways. There are other times you need to take a step back. Maybe you're making a big career change, and let's say you're a director now, but you're moving into a field where you don't have really a whole lot of experience directly. You might have amazing transferable skills, and you might have to take a step back and not be a director anymore. But you'll be able to quickly, climb up and kind of recalibrate your career direction. So I want you to think more about how your career journey is less about a ladder and more about rock climbing. Now, when you work with a career coach, like someone like me, that's me there. See, I'm wearing pink. You've got somebody there guiding you through your rock climbing journey, through this career journey for yourself. And this person is able to help you figure out which way you should go. What are the best opportunities for you? How should you handle certain ways and situations at work? And then they've got a little safety mechanism in here, so you're not doing this all alone. And so the three things that I kind of alluded to earlier for this video is these are ways that you can work on really getting unstuck in your career. And the first step is to have clarity. So you really need to understand a few different things, and we're going to talk more about these three things in this video. But when you have clarity, you have confidence. And with that confidence, then you can move in the direction that you need to go. It's not going to be as scary rock climbing when you're really clear about the pathway to get to the top. The other thing that you need is intentional growth. So you have to be able to know how to make these maneuvers to get you to where you want to go. And sometimes that takes you learning new skills. It takes setting goals and all sorts of things that we'll talk about today. And then the third thing is navigating change. So there's so many different changes that can happen in the workplace, just like rock climbing. You know, you could encounter inclement weather, maybe one of these little foot pads or braces, whatever you call it. I don't really necessarily rock climb. You know, one of those could fall off and things change and your path changes, because that's just the nature of business. Businesses and organizations are always changing. You could get a new boss. You could have new goals set. The company could be experiencing different challenges that are impacted and directed by the external environment, like the economy or pandemics. And then you've got to know how to navigate that change so that you don't get stuck in your career. And so let's break down each of these three things. And let's talk about the first step, which is really just all about gaining clarity. Now, this is a lot easier to do when you work with a career coach or a mentor, somebody that can give you kind of unbiased advice and really help you understand how you need to get your clarity in your career. And really what I do with my clients is the first thing is we really look at what their dreams are. And from there, we can just start doing other strategic steps. But a lot of times we're so busy that we just kind of forget to dream and think about what we want because we're so focused on the next project that we have to get done. And so we really just need to spend some time dreaming and really writing those dreams down and thinking about, okay, what do we need to do to go after those dreams? The other thing that we need to consider when we're looking on getting clarity is really understanding our values. What's important to us, especially when it comes to the workplace. And when we get really clear on what our values are, then we can find organizations and opportunities that align with those values. So for example, if you really value having a separation of work and your personal life, if you value having time off and not working on the weekends, then you probably don't want to work in certain industries where there's a lot of weekend work. Things that are, the event industry, the sports industry, even the wedding industry, there's all those things that you need to consider. And so really understanding your values and what's important to you will give you the clarity on what you need to do to get unstuck at your job and in your career. You also need to understand your motivation. What motivates you? And so there's definitely different research out there that explains motivation. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is one of them, but you need to understand what are you motivated by, because then you can use that to fuel, your plan to getting unstuck at work, but also to find other opportunities that really will make you more successful because they have the things in place that you are motivated by. And then the last step for gaining clarity is really understanding what I call your zone of genius. So these are the things that you do very well. This is how you differentiate yourself with the competition, with other people in your industry. These are things that inspire you and give you energy and not deplete your energy source. And so understanding where your natural strengths are will help you get unstuck at work, because then we can start shifting you to doing more of those things. Now that you know a little bit about, the steps you have to take to gain clarity, let's talk about intentional growth. And so these are things that you need to do that will help you get unstuck in your career, unstuck at work. And the first step is having a career plan. So you've got to have a little bit of a roadmap here so that you know where you're going and you can craft a plan to get there. And this is something that a lot of people just don't sit down and think about. And that's why they wake up, one day 5 years later, and they're still doing the same job for the same pay, but probably a lot more work on their plate. And they're kind of watching other people get ahead in the workplace or get promoted, and they're kind of just wondering why they're feeling so stuck. It's usually because they don't have a plan in place. Now, the other part that really helps plans come to life is goal setting and understanding what are the types of goals that you need to set and how do you track your progress. And that is a game changer, my friends. When you know how to properly set goals at work and also for your career that move you ahead, it will be career changing. The third step for intentional growth is your personal brand. So what is personal brand? Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can define it, but essentially your brand is what are people saying about you when you're not in the room? And so we think about it's not a logo for yourself necessarily or your color palette, but it's about different things. It's about your thought leadership. It's about your area of expertise. It's about the type of worker you are, how reliable you are, your dependability, your thoroughness and detailed orientedness. There's so many different things that can make up your personal brand, but it's important that you understand and define it and then understand how to build it. Because when you get this piece right, it's just going to help you grow your career. The fourth thing that will help you when you're intentionally growing at work is your communication. How do you communicate with your coworkers, customers, your boss? How do you negotiate the things that you need at work, whether it's equipment, more staffing, supplies, or even a raise for yourself? You really need to learn how to have strong communication. And that includes having difficult conversations at work. And all of these things are going to help you with your growth in your career. And when you're doing this, these are all action steps you're taking that creates momentum. And momentum gets you unstuck. And then the fifth thing is leadership and management. So you may not have any formal training in leadership and management, and you may find yourself either stuck in an entry-level job, or maybe you've been promoted recently to a first-time manager and you're supervising staff for the first time, and you don't know what to do. Nobody told you or trained you how to do it. And so you need to take the initiative to really define the type of leader that you want to be and the type of manager you want to be. Because, my friend, these are actually two very different things, and a lot of times people use them interchangeably, but anybody at any level in the organization can be a leader. Because leadership is all about creating followers, essentially, and you can do that through a variety of different ways without being in charge. Now, management is when you're in charge of things. You're in charge of, certain outcomes that you need to lead your team to. So you can see that these two things work together, but they're not exactly the same. And the last thing when it comes to growth is really focusing on opportunities to get promoted and get raises. I don't want you waiting around for your boss to do this for you, to give it to you. You have to be very proactive here. And when you do all of these things, this step becomes much easier. And so that is how you can focus on intentional growth to get you unstuck in your career. Now, the last piece that I mentioned when I showed you the little picture of rock climbing, and we talked about clarity, and we talked about growth, and then the last step was change. To be able to not get stuck at work, you have to be able to navigate change. And so you need to be able to overcome any obstacles that are coming up at work. And when you work with a career professional development coach like myself, I can help you identify these obstacles early and then create a plan to get around it. And that's the huge thing. The worst thing is when I notice when people get stuck at work and stuck in their jobs and career, they've encountered an obstacle. And rather than creating a plan, they just kind of just stop. They see the obstacle there, they don't know how to get around it, and sometimes they just give up. Or they've tried a different bunch of ways to get around the obstacle and nothing has worked. And so when you work with somebody that can help you overcome obstacles, it's going to help you get unstuck at work and really adapt to the changing circumstances in the workplace. Another change that a lot of people have been struggling with is remote work. So they're either seeking out remote work because that's just what's important for their home life or their health. And, working remotely becomes very different. The way that you connect with your boss and your coworkers becomes different. The way you communicate becomes different. And so this can be a very difficult piece to navigate, especially if maybe not everybody else is working remotely. And so there's a lot of research being done right now is if you're in a hybrid work environment and you choose to work remotely, but other people choose to come to the office, we're noticing the people that are present are the ones getting promotions and raises, because they're being visibly seen. So how do you increase your visibility when you work remotely? And so that's something that you can discuss with a career coach or somebody in professional development, and they will give you the tools and strategies to have a successful remote work environment. Now, the other thing that I help clients with is identifying a new path for their career. So when you go through these different steps we've talked about the clarity and then understanding, intentional growth, sometimes that leads you to thinking, okay, I need a new career path. And then what do I do? How do I get it? How do I navigate that? And so I definitely work with a lot of clients on pivoting in their career, whether they're switching industries or they're switching job roles. And then another change that happens quite frequently in the workplace, especially in the last couple years, is what do you do when you have a boss that's new and you have new team members? And how do you navigate the changes that come from that? You've got to learn, their communication style, their work style, their management style, their leadership style. And then how do you adapt to that change so that you can be successful? I've seen a lot of women get stuck at work because they've had a new boss come in and their old boss had made all these promises to them that the new boss isn't fulfilling because the new boss didn't make those promises. And sometimes these promises were never in writing. And so how do you navigate a change like that? And that's something that, we can definitely work together on. And then the last change that you need to be able to navigate is when you have a new job. That comes with a whole host of changes. And how do you navigate a new job successfully? How do you avoid bringing your unhealthy work habits to your new job? How do you leave maybe some bad things that have happened to you in the workplace? Maybe you were in a toxic work environment. Maybe you were harassed by your boss. Maybe you were bullied by coworkers. Maybe you got fired in your previous role. How do you leave all that baggage behind you so that you can focus on the new opportunity in front of you. And working with a career coach like myself can really help you navigate that change successfully. Now, hopefully, what I've been sharing with you today really resonates with you if you're feeling stuck in your career. And if this has inspired you to maybe decide, okay, I'm going to take some action, I'm going to work on getting clarity and growth and navigating change, I want to share with you that starting on January 18th, I am leading the Career Clarity Coaching Week. So if you have ever wondered, what is it like to work with a career coach? Is this something that could help me? Then you don't want to miss out on this opportunity, because during this week, I am going to help you get the clarity you need to take the next right step in your career. And the way that we're going to do that is by daily mini trainings. These trainings are not going to consume your day. That's why I call them mini. They're only going to be 5, 10, 15 minutes long, and you will do that each day, and there'll be a little action step for you to take. So I've designed this in a way where this isn't going to be time consuming. This is just going to be able to easily fit into your already crazy schedule. But you do need to carve out a little time for yourself each day. Prioritize your personal development and your professional development, and you will see results. We're also going to have a vision board party. So this is part of helping you get the clarity that you need to take the next right step in your career. I do want to preface that this vision board party isn't some woo-woo mystical universe activity. This is just a way that we use the power of neuroscience to unlock some things that we want to achieve, what we'll be motivated to achieve, and then we can create an action plan. But just having some extra visuals are more powerful than just writing down some of your dreams. So we're all about increasing your chances of success, and that's one way to do it. You'll also have a career clarity journal that you will fill out during this process and during this career clarity coaching week. And this journal is just for you to get your thoughts together, to help you examine your past and your present career situations so that you can create a plan to move forward and to get unstuck in your career. I have had many clients have big success with just doing this journal alone. It's really helped to give them the clarity that they needed to ask for a promotion or to quit their job and pursue something that they've been putting off for so long. And so this will be something that you'll work on in the evenings or any point during the day when you have a little free time. The other thing that you're really going to love in the Career Clarity Coaching Week is the live coaching calls, and we're going to have a few of them throughout our 8 days together. And this is where you're going to get to see career coaching in action. I'm going to be able to provide you on-the-spot coaching for your specific situation at work. So whether you just don't have the clarity about what you want to do for a career, or whether you're trying to decide if, hey, should I quit this job or not, I'm going to be able to help you overcome the obstacles that you're facing so you can get the clarity that you need to take the next right step in your career. Throughout our time together during these 8 days, I will also have some live Q&As on Facebook where you can ask me questions. I can answer them. So if you have questions about the journal or any other parts about the training or where you're on, in your progress, then you'll have access to me to ask those questions. And then we'll close it out with a celebration, a nice virtual party where you can share your wins and just celebrate with each other the progress that you made in just 8 days. And so I'm really excited about this coaching week. I think you're really going to love it, especially if you're feeling stuck or you just need some more clarity in what you should be doing for your career and where you want to go and how do you get there. And working with a career coach like myself will help you be able to do that. And so to sign up, you just need to go to careercoachingweek.com. I want you to enroll as soon as possible because we are starting on January 18th. And this is your chance to really take control of your career and make things better for yourself and start achieving those dreams that you want to pursue. And I think you're really going to enjoy getting coached by someone, by learning my exact process for getting unstuck. I call it the clear method, and that's how I've got my own career clarity in the past. It's how I help my clients get career clarity, and you're going to learn it during our career coaching week. So be sure to sign up today, and you're absolutely going to love this experience. And guess what? This is a really super good deal because you're going to get powerful career-changing coaching for way less than a tank of gas. Might even be a half a tank of gas depending on what kind of car you drive. It's definitely less than a half a tank for my SUV. So it's an insanely good deal, and I hope to see you on Tuesday for our Career Clarity Coaching Week. Bye for now.